Hey, son. Good afternoon. The question today is how not to be manipulated by your own son. Say no with authority and educate him why a bad thing is a bad thing. Say no if he wants to eat junk food in the morning. Then educate him why junk food is bad food for his health. If say no with authority when he wants to install social media apps, then educate him why scrolling is a bad habit. And if he wants to have a girlfriend without studying parenting for a year, say no with authority. Then educate him why doing it is a bad decision. Do it every time when your son wants a bad habit, bad decision, or bad food. Do it consistently. Because you know what, son? Most dads today, they don't teach their kids, they don't say no, and they don't educate their son why those things I mentioned earlier are bad. Bad habits, bad decisions, bad foods. And the problem is not him, not the dad. The problem here is not starting to say no, not starting to educate their son. Because if you don't say no when your kids wants to eat junk food, when he wants to install TikTok or social media apps, Instagram, or when he wants to have a girlfriend, if you don't say no with authority, and if you don't back it up with the reason why it's a bad decision, son, it makes you a permissive dad. Meaning, you are letting your son eat junk food whenever he wants. You are letting him install social media apps and scroll on social media for hours. You are letting him have a girlfriend without studying parenting for a year. I mean, does your son deserve that? Does your son deserve to have a miserable life? Do you want him, I mean, does your son deserve to be addicted to junk foods, addicted to scrolling on social media? Uh, Do you want him to be unprepared, or does he deserve to be unprepared? Boyfriend? Unprepared boyfriend? Of course not. He doesn't deserve none of that. And I mean, do you want him to be addicted to junk foods, addicted to social media scrolling? Do you want him to be unprepared boyfriend? Of course not, right? And he might not have become a manipulative kid if you only had taught him or educated him why those three things are very dangerous, unhealthy habits. If if you had said no, right? Now your kid is, unlucky him, because he's just like other teens, just like other people around him. where they normalizes eating junk foods, scrolling phone, getting into a relationship without studying parenting first, your son becomes like them. I mean, do you want him to be like them? Ignorant, uneducated, uninformed? Of course not, right? So, so, so if you don't say no, and if you don't educate your son, it makes you permissive dad. So, guess what? When your son becomes a dad himself in the future, 20 years from now, he's going to be permissive dad like you, right? Because he saw your actions before. You you let him. You let him eat junk foods. You let him scroll on social media for hours. You let him have a girlfriend without studying parenting first. He saw your actions before. That's what he learned from you. That's what you modeled him. So, is he going to do the same thing for his children? Yes, of course. He will do the same thing. He will let his children eat junk food, let his children install social media apps, scroll for hours, waste time, and he will let his future children to get into a relationship without studying parenting first. So basically, son, you created a generation of dads. You created of permissive generation of dads. No, you created generation of permissive dads. Dad who doesn't set boundary. Dad who doesn't say no. Dad who doesn't educate his son why certain bad things make them bad things. I mean, do you want your son to be a permissive dad? Do you want him to let his kids eat junk foods, scroll social media for hours, get into a relationship without studying parenting? I know you don't want that. Absolutely not, right? That's why, I mean, how can you, what do you want from him, for him? Of course, you want him to be authoritative dad, a dad who say no with authority, a dad who, mm, a dad who doesn't allow his kids to do bad things, to do bad decisions, to eat bad foods, right? So what do you need to do to solve his problem? How can you be a authoritative father? Say no with authority. Plus, educate him why that thing is a bad thing. Meaning, if your son wants to install TikTok, Instagram, or any social media apps, say no with authority, which means it sounds like this: no. And then write a newsletter about it. Why junk food is a bad food. And then teach him why junk food is a bad thing. Teach him at 10 a.m. each day, right? So it's kind of confusing now, but my point is say no with authority, plus educate him why bad thing is a bad thing. Like, what are the reasons? So, if you put it into practice, let me repeat. So, for example, your son is saying, "Dad, I want to use TikTok because my friends are scrolling on TikTok." Let's say your son doesn't know what is right and what is wrong. He's unaware. So your response could be, "Son, no." And I'll tell you later why. I'm going to teach you why the answer is no. So see you tomorrow at 10 a.m. That's our topic for tomorrow. Again, say no with authority and then teach him why it's a no at 10 a.m. And do it each time when your son wants something and you know it's a bad decision or bad habit or bad food. That's how you do it. That's how you say no with authority, and that's how you educate him. Okay? Now, why it's so effective? Why saying no plus educating him are effective? Because it makes you it makes you authoritative authoritative dad. Push over. No, push over. I mean, a dad with authority. Why? Because this time you are not allowing him to eat junk foods, to scroll on social media, or to install social media apps, to get into a relationship without studying parenting. You are not doing this. You are not allowing this to him. That's why it makes you authoritative dad. A dad with boundary, a dad who say no, a dad to educate his son, right? Does he deserve to be educated? Does he deserve to not be allowed? Does he deserve to receive no from you? Yes, of course, because you know what's good for him, right? And you know what? This time he's so lucky because it makes him obedient. It makes him obedient kid. And most kids nowadays, they are not obedient. They do what they want. They are not supervised by their parents. No one is teaching them that junk food is bad, scrolling is bad, getting into a relationship or having a girlfriend is bad without studying parenting first. No one is teaching them that. That's why your son is so lucky because you are teaching him. It makes him obedient kid, right? I mean, do you want your son to be obedient kid? And guess what? So, since you are now saying no and you are educating him, and it makes you authoritative dad, authoritative. Now, when he becomes a dad himself in the future, 25 years from now, he becomes an authoritative dad like you. Why? Because that's what he saw from your actions before 20 years ago. You didn't you didn't allow him to eat junk food. You didn't allow him to use phone, I mean to scroll on his phone to get into a relationship without studying parenting first. He saw everything of that. That's what he learned from you. That's what you modeled him. All right. So since now he's an authoritative dad, he's going to do the same thing. He will not allow his kids to eat junk food, to scroll on their phone for hours or install social media apps and get into a relationship without studying parenting first. He will never do that because he didn't you never because you didn't allow him to do that before when 20 years ago. So the cycle continues, and you created generation of authoritative dads who say no, dads who educate his son, dads with boundary, dads who can't be manipulated easily, right? Obedient kids, obedient dads. No, obedient kids, right? And he's so lucky this time because now your kid is different. Your kid is obedient. As what I've said earlier, he's not like other kids who are still uninformed and educated about this matter. I mean, most kids don't receive no from their dads. They let them do what they want. And your kid is different now. He's obedient and he's authoritative dad. So, do you want him to be authoritative dad? Do you want him to be obedient kid? Yes, of course. So, the challenge today is this, son. Say no, plus educate him why you said no. So, in what moments you can apply this? For example, your kid wants to use phone because he's bored. Say he's your response. The challenge today is this. Say with authority, no. Watch the tone, no. And I'll tell you tomorrow why it's a bad thing. I'll see you tomorrow at 10 a.m. That's our topic for tomorrow. Remember, you are teaching him every day at 10 a.m. or 4 p.m. So that's our topic for today. That's how you do it. Another example, let's say your son wants junk food. Junk food could be Doritos or snacks, packs of flavors, full of flavors, right? So let's say your son wants, Dad, I want to eat junk food. This is your response. This is your challenge today. Say no, and I'll tell you why tomorrow at 4 p.m. That's our topic for tomorrow. And then you will write a newsletter about it, film a YouTube video about it. That's how you say no with authority, and that's how you educate him with your newsletter or YouTube podcast. Right? So, did you solve the problem today? Yes, of course. You did. Because your action before was you don't say no, you don't educate your son, you just let him eat what he wants, eat junk food he wants, scroll whenever he wants, and have a girlfriend, whatever one she chooses. But today your action is no. I am authoritative dad, a dad with boundary. I'm going to say no, and I will teach him why at 4 p.m. So problem solved. Yeah. Okay. So probably you will not set boundary. I mean, you will not say no, and you will not educate your son why you say no because mhm. Again, you won't say no to your kids, and you won't probably educate them why you said no because you feel scared. You feel scared. You feel scared that they will manipulate you. He will manipulate you. He will cry to get junk food. He will threaten you to not exercise if he don't scroll on his phone. He will threaten you to leave the house, to not come back the house if you didn't allow him to have a girlfriend. So you will probably not say no because you feel scared to lose them. You get scared because he can manipulate the crying, the threatening not to exercise, the threatening to move out the house, to get out the house, to not come back home. You get scared, right? And that's valid. But your challenge today, son, is try. Say no with authority and educate him at 4 p.m. why you said no. If he cries, let him cry. If he won't exercise because you didn't allow him to scroll and install TikTok or social media apps, let him don't exercise. If he move out the house, if he decided not to come back home because you didn't allow him to get into relationship because he didn't study for parenting for a year, let him move out. Let him not come back home. Start saying no with authority, son. I mean, do you want him to have a miserable life? Do you want him to be someone who doesn't listen, someone who doesn't obedient? I mean, do you want him, you know, to have a miserable life in general? I mean, of course not, right? So your challenge today is say no with authority and educate him at 4 p.m. why you said no. And you know what? Your son is going to say someday, Dad, thank you. Thank you for saying no to me when I wanted to eat that junk food, when I wanted to scroll or install social media apps, when I wanted to have a girlfriend, when I didn't even know, when I wanted to have a girlfriend, even though I didn't study parenting for a year. I mean, those things helped me to be a better person, to learn about parenting. I learned that junk food is bad. I learned that scrolling phone is bad. And thank you for, I appreciate your effort, to teach me every day at 4 p.m. Thank you for saying no to me because I, it was my aha moment, or I learned the hard way. Thank you for that. And now I am obedient. Now I am authoritative, Dad. I am just so grateful the way you raised me. Thank you for saying no. Thank you for educating me each day at 4 p.m. All right? That's exactly what he will say in the future. So keep saying no. Keep educating them why you said no. So if I'm going to summarize this letter in one sentence, say no with authority, plus educate him why you said no. So, I mean, 4 p.m. Educate him at 4 p.m. Schedule it. And thank you for listening, son. I know it feels confusing. It feels um, con- confusing. The ideas are confusing. And yeah, thank you for listening. And okay, time for our stories today. Okay, let me drink water first. Hold on. Let me post it. Water. Okay, let's see if I don't. Okay, I am not. I will try not to hold the microphone and let me place it on the window. Let's see if my voice is clear. Story number one. First story is from me, from Gerald. My my son deserves my son deserves prepare responsible dad. He deserves computer to write. He deserves writing class, football training, drum lesson, piano lesson. He deserves to eat protein, fruits, vegetables. He deserves to have office, gym, emergency funds for hospital bills like when he gets flu. Yeah, my son deserves prepared that financially. And everything I say, that's what he deserves. Office, computer, because he's going to write. He deserves writing class from Nicholas Cole. He, I mean, he deserves to eat proteins, chicken, fish, steak, salmon, and he deserves to play. He deserves to play football, hockey, basketball, any sports, drum lesson, piano lessons. And I went to the mountain early in the morning, and when I was going in the mountain, I realized if I save $20 each day, if I save 1,000 pesos each day, I will have saved 365,000 a year, right? And that enough? Mm. So of course I need to work to earn 1,000 pesos a day for him because he deserves a good life. And same thing, I will have written 365 newsletter a year. I will have film YouTube video 365 YouTube video a year. I will have lifted 365 sacks of fertilizers. Second story, it's from dad. Okay, irritable, angry, doesn't want to pay bar, so take opinions seriously, take jokes very seriously. And the problem is not him. Nobody educated him. He's my son. And yeah, dad was angry from last night when my mom didn't come home. When my mom didn't come home by 10 p.m., like we didn't know where did she went. And I woke up, he was screaming as if he was trying to kill someone, like that kind of anger. And I woke up, and like he was asking mom, "Where have you been? It was raining." And, I mean, it's 10 p.m. and you told me you will just buy something and you came home late. Like, where have you been? And I woke up with that noise, and right now he's sick. He said he was sick, like his hips is sick, he's in pain. And when I watch him, he's my son, and nobody guided him. I mean, at the end of the day, the problem is not the people, the problem is not him, the problem is he's not being educated how to handle his anger, his frustration. So I mean, when I see him, he's so skinny, and I feel pity for him. I mean, he's my son. I mean, problem is not him. I just kept reminding myself, like like whenever he's shouting, yelling, screaming, angry with my mom, saying "f you" with my mom. Like the problem is not him. He was not taught. He didn't have parents to teach him the right way, the attitude, the manners, the right conduct. And I don't want my son to. I want my son deserves to be educated. That's why I'm doing this. And its third story is from my Auntie Remin and Auntie Celia Ocando. And then their problem is water, having no water since yesterday because it rained. It rains. It rained heavily last night, so there was no water in the morning, and they were stressed because of having no water. And us, we don't have a problem with water, and that's why water is significant in life. So I mean, we don't have water problem because we get a water source from, we pay monthly. So same thing with the electricity brownout. Like each day we were experiencing brownout each day, so my students sometimes my classes were disturbed, and I always thought my student doesn't deserve those power interruption. The same thing with water, so I have to buy solar panel, solar system, no, solar system, solar, solar to get electricity, like generator thing. Second, next story is from my mom. She said, "Bahala ka dyan, Shimi. Bahala ka dyan, Shimi. Bahala ka dyan, mindset." And you got it, mom. You got it, mom. Because Shimi was so mischievous. She doesn't listen. She doesn't listen to eat. She doesn't listen to wear uniform. She doesn't listen most of the time. She just wanna play. She wants to go to Steve's house, his cousin's house. So my mom was irritated, was disappointed, angry, and it's like, bahala ka dyan. Sometimes it's a good coping mechanism to, to disregard random thoughts. It's just like random thoughts. Like, bahala ka dyan. It works all the time. And YouTube ads. Next story is YouTube ads. And grabe na. Grabe na. To get the attention, to get my attention. Like there was YouTube ads earlier, like woman naked taking a bath. It's a game. It's a gaming ads, and like you got me. Hey, you got me. And the ads today is insane. It's like in the name of trying to get your attention. And next story from Old Pro Dad. The question was, is sleepover bad or good for our kids? Sleepover is risky. Child sexual abuse, pornography, drugs. I mean, our kids doesn't deserve that. My son doesn't deserve to be sexually abused, to be exposed to pornography or drugs with friends. I mean, sleepovers is risky, and my son is a writer, so he doesn't. I don't know. I was thinking the problem with sleepover is if you go to the public school, so probably your classmates doesn't have identity. So if my son is a writer, if he hangs out with a writer, and if that writer wants to sleep over, I don't know. I will, I will, I will figure this out. And that's it for today's episode. Thank you for listening to our lesson today. Let me repeat: say no with authority, plus educate him why you said no at 4 p.m. Write a newsletter, film a podcast, YouTube. And thank you for listening to my stories today. And see you tomorrow. And I have one class today, and I'm considering to go on the mountain to collect fertilizers. And today I got salary 825 pesos. 15 classes. No. Yeah, 15 classes. 7 hours, almost 8 hours. And see you tomorrow, son, at 9 a.m.